Welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Jayashree S., Professor of Sociology, Karnataka University, Dharwad. This module on Arvind Ghosh is a part of the unit on educational thinkers in the course Education and Society. Arvind Ghosh is a well-known philosopher and humanist. He is also known as a Renaissance person. He is known for his philosophical insights. However, he has also written extensively on education and its different components such as curriculum, school, relationship of teacher and pupil, discipline and philosophy of education, which are relevant even today. Ghosh has made significant contributions to philosophy and education. With the core knowledge of philosophy as the base, Ghosh blended theory and practical knowledge, applying it to the educational system of India. He insisted to use mother tongue as a medium of instruction. According to him, there are 5 aims of education. It includes physical development as well as spiritual development. Arvind Ghosh was born on August 15, 1872 at Calcutta. His father, Krishnadun Ghosh, was the assistant surgeon of Rangapur, Bengal. His mother played a decisive role in his early childhood. Arvind Ghosh had been influenced by her rich spiritual nature and owed his literary capacities to her. His father, Krishnadun Ghosh, was always fond of English education and Western social life. He wanted his sons to have English education, and at the age of 5, Arvind Ghosh was sent to Loreto Convent School at Darjeeling. In 1879, at the age of 7, he was taken along with his 2 elder brothers to England for education and lived there for 14 years. His schooling at St. Paul's, London began in 1884 and he joined the King's College, Cambridge in 1990. He also cleared the Indian Civil Service examination during this time and returned to India in 1893. Arbindo's career began when he entered the Baroda government service. Later he joined the Baroda College as Professor of English. While working at Baroda, he studied Sanskrit, Bengali, literature, philosophy and political science extensively. Over a period of time, he developed interest in civil service and began to involve himself in politics. He gave up his service and joined the political movement, but had only a short career in politics. But it was during his imprisonment in Alipur jail that he dreamt of setting out on a divine spiritual mission, and this became a turning point in his life. He moved to Pondicherry and embarked on his spiritual career. At Pondicherry, where he moved, Arvindo initially lived with 4 or 5 companions. Gradually their number increased and an ashram was founded. He strongly believed in spiritual practice, which he said could inform, transform any human being and every human being into a divine being. He preached various aspects of philosophy such as brahmacharya, philosophy of dharma and karma. Spiritual growth and learning through philosophical and scientific means was his aim. His mission in life was to bring out the divine within every individual through integral yoga and turn that person into a divine being. In 1926, with the help of his spiritual collaborator Meera Alfassa, referred to as the Mother, he founded Sri Aurobindo Ashram. The rest of Aurobindo's life was spent in ashram during yoga and meditation for spiritual growth and development. He died on 5th December 1950 at Pondicherry. Arvind Ghosh was a versatile writer and has written extensively on Indian philosophy and culture. His writings cover a wide range of topics which are relevant to Indian society even today. Ghosh had profound knowledge of disciplines such as science, literature, psychology, sociology, political science, philosophy, and others. And that is the reason why he could cover a wide range of subjects. He was nominated for the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1943 and for the Nobel Peace Prize in 1950. His major writings include A System of National Education, The Life Divine, Savitri, A Legend, and a Symbol. The essential Aurobindo writings of Sri Aurobindo, Synthesis of Yoga, Powers Within, and Gems from Sri Aurobindo. Aurobindo's concept of education is vastly different from that of traditional approaches to education. According to him, acquiring information is not the aim of education. It must build parts of the human mind and spirit. Aurobindo Ghosh was an idealist to the core. He narrates the kind of education we need in our country in the following words. We need an education proper to the Indian soul and temperament and culture that we are in quest of, not indeed something faithful merely to the past, but the developing soul of India to her future need, to the greatness of her coming self-creation, to her eternal spirit. Aurobindo Ghosh wrote a series of articles on education in Karma Yogin during 1909 under the title A System of National Education and the National Value of Art. He also wrote a preface to National Education which appeared in the Arya in 1920 in 2 parts. His book, The Synthesis of Yoga, in which we find extraordinary insights with regard to education, appeared serially in the Arya from August 1914 to January 1921 in 4 parts. His main motto was to synthesize Western nationalism with Eastern metaphysics. His academic interest was interdisciplinary in scope. He incorporated the ideas of political science, education, sociology, psychology, and philosophy in his thoughts. He was deeply influenced by Western thought, most significantly Charles Darwin, evolutionary theory, and French intellectual Henri Bergson, philosophy of cognitive evolution. Aurobindo Ghosh emphasized that education should be imparted in accordance with the needs of the modern life. He believed that education should create such citizens who are dynamic and able to face any challenge in the modern society. According to him, education has 6 aims, these being physical development and holiness, training all the senses, hearing, speaking, listening, touching, smelling and tasting, achieving mental development of the child, development of morality, development of conscience, spiritual development. Aurobindo emphasized that main aim of education is to promote spiritual development. According to him, every human being has a fragment of divine existence within himself, and education can scan it from each individual to its full extent. Core ideas of Aurobindo Ghosh on education. Despite having Western education, Aurobindo Ghosh was critical of the education system of his times. He was aware of the fact that education system which was in existence had just turned to be a machine of knowledge and did not touch upon the needs and spirits of individuals of modern times. According to Aurobindo Ghosh, if a student is given lot of information, it does not lay a sound foundation. Information is almost similar to the study materials that are given to students for reference, but it does not make a student intelligent. If education confines itself to accumulation of knowledge, it cannot be called real education. A balance must be struck between the various faculties of memory, imagination, perception, and reason, which are the edifices of thought and knowledge, and the tools and material used in education. In his view, memory, judgment, and creative powers are ever-growing faculties that give a boost to education. About mother tongue, Aurobindo Ghosh was of the opinion that Indian brains have tremendous potential, but with the introduction of a language unknown to a large number of people, their potentials was hampered. The new system of education introduced subjects in a foreign language unknown to the masses. The very idea of foreign language distracted the attention of pupils and affected their power of observation, judgment, comprehension, memory, and understanding. Aurobindo believed that medium of instruction is an essential factor in learning. Unless a child does not mentally master a language, he or she will be unable to understand the subject and gain mastery over it. He suggested that mother tongue is the best medium of instruction. When a child is able to comprehend what is being taught in a language, his or her mental ability to understand, observe, compare, and judge develops sharply. In the new national system of education, Ghosh had proposed that mother tongue should be the medium of instruction. The system of national education, 3 principles of teaching. According to Aurobindo Ghosh, education is not just about working in a laboratory or collecting information by reading books. If education must be imparted meaningfully, a healthy balance must be achieved between the body and mind. Aurobindo Ghosh compared the European system of education with that of India and said that the European system had its own limitations despite its advancement. It does not give the kind of weightage that needs to be given to the knowledge of human psychology and looks into contemporary achievements. In his book, A System of National Education, he elaborated 3 principles of teaching, these being: nothing can be taught, mind has to be consulted in its own growth, to work from near to far and known to the unknown. The first principle: the teacher is not an instructor or taskmaster. He is a guide who shows students how to equip their instruments of knowledge and achieve progress. Instead of imparting knowledge, teachers show the pathway to search for knowledge on their own. The teacher's job is to make the student understand and appreciate the true value of knowledge. This principle, however, operates differently for children, adolescents, and adults. Second principle: according to Aurobindo Ghosh, every child has certain inherent capacities. He was of the opinion that induction of specific ideas, virtues, capacities, and encouraging a child to develop in a set pattern either by teachers or parents is not right thing to do. This kind of imposition will hamper a child's personality development, which is in the long run is detrimental to national interest. According to Aurobindo Ghosh, teacher must never pressurize the child to receive knowledge in which he has no interest. Ghosh was of the opinion that if children are stressed, they lose their originality, and what emerges is an artificial and imperfect personality. Instead, if they are left free, they not only develop their knowledge but can also give their best. According to Aurobindo Ghosh, all human beings have something divine in them. The right type of training will only enhance and induce strength and perfection. The main aim of education should be to help an individual to find something divine within oneself, develop it and realize it in such a way as to work for the development of the nation. The third principle of education is to work from near to the far and from that which known to the unknown. Aurobindo Ghosh believed that the past is the foundation, present is the material, and future is the aim. All three have their natural place in education. About curriculum. The insights of Aurobindo on curriculum formation and development have enormous contemporary significance. He pointed out that there should be a free learning environment for a child. because every child has latent faculties. For this latent potential to blossom, a child needs a free and fearless environment. The curriculum must create a feeling of satisfaction that one has learned something. He laid down the following principles of curriculum formation. Curriculum should create interest in the child. It should include subjects that promote mental and spiritual development. It should motivate children for attainment of knowledge about the entire world. It should build creativity and promote constructive capacities. Arvindo Ghosh wanted to set up schools where there was no fixed curriculum, but those that allowed children to develop their physical and mental faculties and also realize their innate powers. Children must absorb what they want to learn and not what their parents want them to learn. The curriculum, in his view, must encourage students to explore and not stunt their growth. Arvindo Ghosh propagated the concept of self-discipline and opposed any kind of imposition or regulation through a preset curriculum. In other words, he was upholding the need for a child-centric curriculum that gave space for exploration and self-realization. He also stressed the need for curriculum to take into account the needs of the society. Institution of higher learning. Since Arvindo Ghosh was exposed both to the Western and Indian systems of education, he could easily discern the differences existing between institutions of higher education in India and the West. College life, according to him, is an opportunity for youngsters to shed their ego, expand their intellectual abilities, and strengthen their character. It also opens up one's social world. Arvindo Ghosh's stress was on the intellectual aspect of education, which he felt is more important than its utilitarian aspect. He was of the view that knowledge should be pursued for its own sake and that it must imbibe the essential elements of culture as well as true science. He was critical of the present system of education that laid stress on utilitarian aspects rather than on selflessness and other higher values. Education, according to him, must emphasize on power of reason, power of comparison and differentiation, and the power of expression. Acquisition of these three qualities will add value to education. These views of Arvindo Ghosh had special meaning in the context of contemporary higher education, which is moving more towards commercialization. Arvindo Ghosh believed that though India lost much as a nation, it has preserved qualities such as natural alertness, quickness, and originality. But if excessive concentration is bestowed on acquisition of knowledge without cultivating these three faculties, then there shall be irreversible degradation and final extinction. He felt that there was an utter need for revolutionizing the entire framework of education, placing less stress on examinations and more emphasis on learning subjects such as geometry, logic and political science for reasoning, languages for expression, history for power of comparison and differentiation. Here the role of teacher is to develop the mental faculties of students and not to impart memory-centric education. Alumni Association. It is indeed very important to note that Arvindo Ghosh stressed on the need to develop alumni association in colleges. Since college life serves as a foundation for their future life and career, there should be a continuous contact between the institution and its alumni even after they leave the college. By taking the examples of universities of Oxford and Cambridge, Ghosh showed how networking among students and the pride which they took in their association with their respective illuminators had a great impact on the development of these institutions. To him, cherishing the memories of college life and expressing their gratitude for the institution from where they received their academic and intellectual training was also critical to the future development of youngsters. The alumni must have healthy relationship with the present group of students and share their life experiences, said Ghosh. Aurobindo's thought on alumni association assumed special significance in the context of the thrust being placed on the role of alumni institutions, building and development in contemporary educational practices. Role of teachers. Aurobindo Ghosh narrated certain sound principles of good teaching, which have to be kept in mind when actually engaging in the process of teaching learning. He explains that knowledge is already dormant within the child, and for this reason, the teacher need not function as an instructor or taskmaster. He is a helper and a guide. The role of a teacher is to suggest and not to impose. He does not actually train pupil's mind. He only shows him how to perfect the instruments of knowledge and helps him and encourages him in the process. A teacher does not impart knowledge to him. He shows him how to acquire knowledge for himself. He does not call forth the knowledge that is within. He only shows him where it lies and how it can be habituated to rise to the surface. Aurobindo Ghosh stated that whenever there is repetition, meditation and discussion, it will awaken an individual's mind with enlightenment. This will further be developed by intellectual clarity, deep study and understanding. Moral education. Aurobindo Ghosh believes that an education that places too much stress on developing intellectual abilities without giving due consideration to cultivation of values is detrimental to human development and progress. It is in this context that he attached great importance to moral education. In his view, there should be a healthy combination between the working of the head and the heart in a human being, and education must foster such a relationship. According to Aurobindo, there are three important factors related to man's moral nature, these being bhavana or emotions, samskar, formed habits, swabhava, nature. Aurobindo strongly feels that in a person's life, the right combination of good habits, right emotions and right nature must be imbibed. He suggested that teachers must help children to acquire these values by imparting moral education. Teachers must themselves serve as role models to students through their exemplary lifestyle and superior knowledge. If a child does not fall in line with the expected standards of behavior, he or she must not be treated like a delinquent, but given the opportunity to engage in a soul search. Efforts must be made to replace falsehood by truth, fear by courage, selflessness by sacrifice, and malice by love in the minds of students. Modern education. Aurobindo Ghosh was of the view that present education system has many drawbacks and calls it unreal education. He drew comparisons between the modern and ancient systems of education and criticized the contemporary system of education in its entirely. His emphasis was on mastering the subject under study, though it was not an easy target to achieve. It is only then that knowledge acquisition becomes a meaningful exercise. Ghosh believed that nature is the best teacher. He also said that instead of teaching multiple subjects, pupils must be taught subjects in which they are interested. He was critical of the thirst given to memorizing and examinations in the modern education system. Aurobindo did not approve of the kind of competition that has become intrinsic part of current educational practice. He strongly believed that education is the vital factor for development and progress of a country. He had a vision not just of an independent India but also of a great India. With a strong conviction that the ancient system of education in India had many positive qualities, Aurobindo advocated that it has to be revisited and the strong points in that system of education must be adopted. He wanted students to rise above themselves and expected that they should dedicate their knowledge to the development of the nation. Aurobindo Ghosh's notion of an ideal education was one in which students were committed to work for national development rather than self-promotion. He denounced that education system which instilled such characteristics as pride, selfishness and greed. To him, gaining mastery over one subject and treating education as a public utility are the two factors to which an academic institution must give due importance. There must be a balance between the personal and national interest. Importance of observation and imagination. Ghosh stressed on the observation as a vital component of the knowledge acquisition process. He was of the view that it was primary task of a teacher to habituate children to observe and concentrate on what was going on around them by using their senses. Without keen observation, knowledge acquisition becomes an incomplete process. However, observation means different things to different people. For example, a painter, a scientist, a poet, a yogi, each of these has a different point of view and hence each seems to observe different aspects of a single event. When one observes, one derives practical knowledge. Observation further helps students to remember, compare, judge, analyze issues at a higher level. Along with observation, imagination also helps to build one's knowledge. Imagination helps the formation of mental images, creates thoughts, and cultivates the appreciation of beautiful things. It is thus very critical to achieve a semblance between observation and imagination. Aurobindo Ghosh stressed that bookish knowledge is not true knowledge, as it leads us nowhere. All that is needed to teach children to understand how and why things work in the world, and for this reasoning is a necessary aspect in education. Physical education. According to Aurobindo Ghosh, education of the body must be rigorous and it must be completely governed by method, order, discipline and procedure. According to Aurobindo Ghosh, one must have a basic knowledge of the structure of the human body and its functions. He has listed out some important ingredients of physical education which are given below. Right from an early age, children should be taught right postures, positions and movements of the body. Children should be taught to eat healthy, simple food, eat when they are hungry and food that suits the body. Food should not be taken to satisfy the greed of the stomach and taste of the tongue. Children should be encouraged to follow hygienic and cultivate healthy and clean habits. Children should be taught that to be ill is a sign of failure and inferiority. To conclude, Aurobindo Ghosh, widely known as a philosopher and spiritual guru, has written extensively on issues relating to education that have enormous contemporary relevance. Ghosh believed that education is a creative process where there is a compulsion, creativity is hampered. There is always a dichotomy between freedom and discipline. Discipline should be transformed into self-discipline. Aurobindo Ghosh strongly believed that education as a vital factor for development and progress of a country. Ghosh had a vision not just of independent India but also of great India. Education must train the senses and powers of the mind by developing the powers of logical reasoning. He also stressed on the need of students to develop their powers of observation and imagination. The ultimate aim of education, according to Aurobindo Ghosh, was to bring out the divine within students to the surface.